We shall commence this module by understanding the intergovernmental transfers. Intergovernmental transfers are the foremost source of revenues for different levels of government in most developing countries. The designs of the intergovernmental transfers is of critical importance for efficiency and equity of the local service provisions and fiscal health of the state and the local governments. In India, the Finance Commission's grants are for meeting the evaluated revenue gap of the states as also for various other purposes including for special needs and upgradation of standards. It is the determination of these grants that necessitates the Finance Commission to undertake a comprehensive examination of both the central and the state finances. Apart from the devolution of tax revenues, the states also gets grants in aid from the different institutions like Finance Commission, Planning Commission and some of the central ministries. Federal grants are a very important source of revenue to state and local regions. The basic principles of federal finance like independence and responsibility, adequacy and elasticity have to be coordinated. Various means like devolution of tax revenues are adopted to achieve this coordination. This module will highlight the theoretical aspect of the grants and how these grants are given by the Finance Commission in India. After studying this module, you shall be able to understand the various types of grants, learn about the general and specific objectives of grant in aid, understand the structure of grants in aid disbursed by the Finance Commission in India, understand the method and criteria used by the various finance commissions. Let us look into the theory of grants in aid. Grants in aid are a transfer of a sum of money from the central government to a state government either according to the provision of the Constitution of India or through a legislative decision. Usually, the grants in aid are used as a balancing factor to correct the maladjustments with respect to the allocation of sources of revenue to the central government and entrusting welfare functions to the states. Though the central government gives them the funding, but the state government must operate with the reasonable independence. Objectives of grants in aid. The general objectives of grants in aid are to reduce imbalance between functions and resources that may exist at a lower level of government, to reduce the regional inequality of governmental performance. The general purpose of grants in aid is to improve the quality or quantity of government service in backward areas by transferring funds from the developed regions through the central treasury. Third, to improve the intergovernmental relations. The specific objectives are: first, to promote development of services of the national importance and if possible to encourage the local participation in such services. Second, to reallocate the specific tax resources between the federal and the state governments as circumstances requires through the matching grants. Third, to compensate the losses suffered by the state government. Let us now discuss the types of grants. Intergovernmental grants can be broadly classified into two categories. First is the specific purpose or conditional or earmarked, and second is the general purpose for unconditional. Specific purpose or conditional. Specific purpose or conditional or categorical grants are intended to provide incentives for governments to undertake the specific programs or activities. These grants may be regular or obligatory in nature, or they may be discretionary or ad hoc. Conditional transfers typically specify the type of expenditures that can be financed, input based conditionality. These may be capital expenditures, operating expenditures, or both. Conditional transfers may also require attainment of certain results in service delivery, which is output based conditionality. There are several types of conditional grants. They are as follows. A. Matching grants. For every rupee given by the donor to support a particular activity, a certain sum is expended by the recipient. For example, a grant might stipulate that whenever a community spends a rupee on education, the central government would contribute a rupee as well. Matching requirements can be either open-ended, that is, the grantor matches whatever the level of resources the recipient provides, or closed-ended, that is, the grantor matches the recipient funds only up to a pre-specified limit. Matching open-ended grants are the utmost appropriate vehicle through which to induce state and local governments to increase the spending on the assisted function. Matching closed-ended grants is helpful in guaranteeing that the grantor has certain control over the cost of the transfer program. B. Non-matching grants. It offers